The story begins with a mysterious found footage horror film called The Malibu. It's said that in an old American town, four college students mysteriously disappeared. The police searched for months but only found an old video camera and a memory card containing the terrifying truth of that night. Apparently, the place those students went to was once considered sacred land by an ancient tribe of shamans. It was believed to be a site where their souls could connect with their gods. But the four friends had no idea they were walking into a place where the worlds of the living and the dead overlap. As soon as they entered a cave, they noticed strange spiral symbols and drawings made from what looked like blood covering the walls. These symbols were once drawn by the tribe's shamans, who believed the cave was a doorway to another world. At first, everything felt exciting, an adventure. But soon, one of their friends, known as Jake, started having strange allergic reactions. Turns out something he ate contained toxic chemical elements. Slowly, he began hallucinating. He screamed that there was someone standing on the tree. The others couldn't see anything, but Jake could clearly see a shadowy figure moving around. Later, when police reviewed the footage, they noticed faint, ghost-like silhouettes hovering near Jake in several frames. Panicking, Jake ran into the darkness of the night, while the others decided to stay back. As the night went on, the atmosphere grew more and more terrifying. They found burned bones and pieces of skeletons scattered across the ground. Clear signs that something horrifying had once happened there. They decided to pack up and leave immediately. But when they returned to camp, Jake was gone. When they finally went back into the cave to search for him, they saw Jake standing still, facing the wall, staring at those strange drawings. Suddenly, the camera began to glitch, and terrifying screams echoed from behind. It was as if the ancient spirits had returned, the very ones whose doorway they had accidentally opened. The video recording ended right there, and the camera suddenly shut off. Police claim that the four students were probably caught under falling rocks inside the cave, and that their bodies might have been dragged away by wild animals like mountain lions or wolves. But the truth was something no one could have ever imagined. A few months later, an investigation team arrived at the site, led by a scientific researcher named Ashley Ryan. In the very first clip of the footage, she noticed a strange signal disturbance, which usually indicates interference from supernatural energy. According to Ashley, the source of that interference was the exact spot where Jake was last seen on camera. The team decided to enter the cave themselves to uncover the truth. They set up their tents and began the search. But the cave wasn't as small as they had imagined. It was like a maze. After searching the entire night, they didn't see any ghosts or spirits, but they did find dozens of strange symbols on the cave walls, appearing to be written in an ancient language. The next day, they set up a spirit communication device, a kind of sensor box designed to detect energy waves from spirits. Around it, they placed several static cameras to capture any unusual activity. Once everything was ready, Ashley began reciting incantations, and suddenly the device lit up brightly, as if an invisible force had responded. But that force didn't want to communicate. Night fell, and the team returned to their tents to rest. While reviewing old footage on her laptop, Ashley managed to recover the video's metadata, and what she saw froze everyone's blood. In the frames, Jake was no longer human. He had transformed into a terrifying demon. His eyes were completely white, his face deformed, and his movements were not human at all. Ashley then remembered something she'd read in ancient texts, a creature known as a shapeshifter or skinwalker. It's believed that this creature only appears when a person has a weak will or is in a state of confusion. And Jake was exactly that, mentally unstable under the influence of drugs. That very night, the shapeshifter took over Jake's body as its new home. By the time his friends realized what had happened, it was already too late. While Ashley's team was searching inside the cave, something terrifying occurred. One of the team members' bodies suddenly lifted into the air, right before their eyes. The other two were so terrified that they were about to run for their lives. But then one of them said, "That guy was part of my team. We can't just leave him behind." Gathering their courage, they decided to go back into the cold, dark cave, a decision that would prove fatal. The mysterious entity known as the shapeshifter didn't just consume bodies, it also devoured the souls of the dead, trapping them forever so they could never be reborn. That was how it punished those who dared to disturb it. When the two teammates returned, they saw their friend's lifeless body hanging in the air. Then they noticed a long, blood-red trail leading deeper into the cave. And at the end of that trail lay two more frozen corpses. Yet somehow, the camera was still recording. The last thing the lens captured was a shadowy, ghost-like figure rushing toward it. The footage froze right there. When Ashley and her team later watched the video, they were horrified. They realized that during their spirit communication ritual the night before, they had unknowingly summoned the very same shapeshifter. At that point, there was only one thing left to do: run. But before they could, everything went wrong. The sensor machines started blinking rapidly. The lights went out on their own, and the cameras began clicking by themselves, as if something invisible was moving among them. Suddenly, the air turned cold, and everyone's breathing grew heavy. One of the team members, Jessica, got so scared she hid inside the tent. But the very next moment, her scream echoed, and she vanished into the darkness. Matt immediately grabbed his flashlight and ran in her direction. Now only Ashley and Jack were left. Gathering courage, they lit a glow stick and stepped inside. But just then, a human-like shadow appeared on Josh's thermal camera, slowly moving toward them, and then the camera went completely black. At first, everyone thought Jessica had been taken by someone, but when they found her alive inside the cave, they all felt a little relief. Unfortunately, Matt wasn't that lucky. The walls of the cave echoed with demonic whispers, as if some evil presence was murmuring in their ears. The three realized their friend was in serious danger. Ahead, two paths appeared. Ashley and Jessica decided to stick together, while Josh went alone down the other route, carrying the thermal camera in his hand. A few steps in, a strange figure appeared on the screen. It looked almost human. Josh lifted his flashlight and moved closer. But as soon as he shined the light, there wasn't a person, just a distorted face staring back. The next moment, the only thing on the camera was the sound of a terrified scream. Somehow, Josh ran for his life and made it back to the camp. But what he saw there froze his blood. Red handprints covered the walls and slowly began glowing on the camera. Then from behind, a dark shadow gently placed a hand on his shoulder, and the screen went black again. Meanwhile, Ashley and Jessica also managed to make it back to the base, but the security cameras at the base suddenly turned on by themselves, meaning something invisible was moving around them. In the camera flashes, they could occasionally see faint glimpses of feet, faces, and dark figures. Ashley thought maybe her teammate had returned. She stepped forward, but a black hand suddenly grabbed her by the neck from behind. In a quick move, she pulled out a small knife from her pocket and struck back. It gave her only a few seconds of escape from the evil force, but things had already gone too far. Josh was dead now, and Jessica's condition was getting worse. Ashley tried to get her out of there, but no matter which direction they went, the path always led them back to the same camp. Exhausted, Ashley collapsed to the ground, and right then, a cloud of black smoke appeared in front of her. It slowly merged into Jessica's body. In the end, not a single member of that investigation team survived. The last thing captured on their cameras was a thick black smoke swallowing the entire cave, followed by complete silence. But after watching this movie, two big questions come to my mind. First, how was that shapeshifter summoned in the first place? Did it possess Jake Powers' body because he had a weak will? Or did someone deliberately call it there? And the second question, if the incident with the 4 college students happened 7 years ago, how did the shapeshifter survive all those years? Did it keep absorbing power from the dead bodies? Well, it was just a movie after all. But remember, movies don't always lie, because sometimes reality can be far more terrifying than fiction. So friends, that's where today's story ends. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, subscribe to this channel for more horror stories like this.